Yes, good day, class. Thank you very much for your time and connecting to Metric Hub. We are meeting in social sciences, grade 9, focusing specifically on geography. I want to just welcome you to this channel on a new subject. And please note that for those who are doing geography and continuously specializing in geography up to grade 12, you are not lost. You are on the right space. You are on the right channel. This is where geography is mastered. It is done extensively, and we will make sure that you will never regret your connection and your time and your data. Just keep connected. Uh, One thing that I like is that geography is the is the mother of all science subjects. Everybody who is doing geography, one way or the other, when everybody who is doing geography or who is doing sciences, one way or the other, you are connected to geography. You will be doing geography somewhere, somehow. So let's just enjoy this moment. We want to prepare for our end of year examinations without wasting any time. This is social sciences, like I said, grade 9 geography paper. Without wasting any time, I want you to know very well that every time when you're going to exam, you always have to read instructions. Instructions are very important. You always need to understand that you read instructions before answering. So we are going just to go straight into the paper right now. Uh, and then what we want to do is to ensure that we extensively uh, dissect all the questions that are given in this question paper. First question is saying, what is withering? Withering, in simple terms, is the breaking down of rocks in situ to form soil. When rocks are broken down, the processes involved are quite a lot, but the primary thing is that soil is formed. Soil is formed from breaking down of rocks into small particles. So what you need to understand is that it is also called without movement. That is why we say in situ. So withering is the breaking down of rocks into small particles, which is which is be breaking down of rocks into small particles. Soil is formed from what? From rocks. That is how soil is formed. Of course, not only rocks, we also have other decomposing matter that can also aid in soil formation. But that is when we talk about erosion, withering, it is the breaking down of rocks into small particles. And we are given use source 1 to answer question 1.2 to 1.6. We are given we are given some rocks here is for picture A, picture B, and picture C, which are illustrating different forms in which weathering is taking place. We can see that there are deep crevices on photograph B. There are some crevices in which weathering is taking place, and then we have got a different form which is taking place in C as well as in A. So what we need to understand is these are forms of withering that are illustrated here. And then which example of physical withering does picture A represent? Which example of physical withering uh, does picture A represent? So when we look in physical withering, we are saying, I mean, types of withering, we have got physical and chemical. In terms of physical, it is mainly because of the expansion and contraction of rock due to the temperatures or due to heating of the rock mass. So in physical withering, we don't have any uh, chemicals or agents that are causing withering to take place. So what you need to understand is that an example of physical withering in picture A, it is represented by uh, we are saying frost shattering. Frost shattering represents it represents physical withering. We have got exfoliation also as an example, which can also be given as physical withering. And then the expansion is just the increase in the volume of the rock mass as a result of incoming terrestrial solar radiation that causes the rock particles to expand. And then when they expand, they contract again. But in other words, what we are saying is not an example of physical withering. And then oxidation, we are just talking about it's a chemical withering process in terms of oxidation, where there is where we are saying that there is it's a type of chemical withering where rocks or where minerals in the rock react with oxygen, typically in the presence of water. When we talk about oxidation, there must be water, and then we are saying rock particles rock minerals in the rock react with oxygen, typically in the what in the presence of water to form new compounds that are in sometimes similar to a process of iron rusting. And then our answer is what is B. And then in which chemical withering process do iron minerals in the rock react with dissolved oxygen to produce rusting? Okay, so what we are saying is that a form of a process of in which chemical withering process do iron minerals in rocks react with dissolved oxygen to produce rusting? That is, when we talk about that, we are saying it takes place when we talk about oxidation. That is what I was just explaining now. Oxidation, I'm saying it's a chemical withering process which occurs when rocks react with oxygen, typically in the presence of water, to form new compounds. Like I said, in an example is iron rusting, which changes a mineral composition of a rock in terms of oxidation. And then the next question is saying, define biological withering. Biological withering, the moment we talk about biological process, when we talk about biological, it must involve living organisms. When anything is biological, it must involve living organisms. We call that what we call that biological. So it can have to do with plants and animals. Plants and animals are involved when we talk about biological. It can be a biological method of weed control. It can be a biological method of whatsoever it is. But in terms of biological, it means plants and animals are involved in the processes. So it define the biological withering. It actually represents plants and animals break up the rock. Plants and animals break up the rock. Plants and animals break up the rock. So therefore, the answer is what? Is D. D is the answer. And then identify the chemical withering process in picture B. Identify the chemical withering process in picture B. We just want to see picture B, the withering process in picture B. Picture B, this is picture B that we are referring to. Picture B. So the question is saying identify chemical withering process in picture B. Number 5. It is picture B. If you can see that we are saying picture B, identify it is a process through which water reacts with minerals, breaking them down, altering their chemical composition, and actually also forming some of those crevices, and then form new softer minerals, which sometimes we can talk about clays, and then finer soil particles are formed, and then it is key actually in the soil formation. So if you can look at it, in this case, what you need to understand is that we are saying finer soil particles are formed which you can see because of these small crevices that are being developed or that are being caved onto the rock mass here. So this is a process through which we call, a process that we call hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is what is taking place. So I want you to understand that uh, hydrolysis, it is whereby rock minerals react with water, breaking them down and then altering their chemical composition, which results in formation of new softer minerals uh, like clays. And then we say that hydrolysis is one of the key processes that involves the formation of what? Of soil. Identify a chemical process, a chemical withering process in picture C. In picture C, a chemical withering process that is taking place in picture C. Picture C, as you can see here, we are seeing we can see some forms of rock that is being worn out, and then as you can see, we are saying it can show some acidic processes that are taking place. As you can see, some small pathways that are being eroded or that are being worn out from the rock as the water flows on top of the rock mass. So what you are seeing here is that this can be called carbonation. This can be called carbonation, which we can see in this case. This can be called carbonation. And what I want you to understand is that when we talk about carbonation, it's a chemical withering process. This is a chemical withering process which actually slightly acidic rainwater we're saying caused by slightly acidic rainwater. It is caused by slightly acidic rainwater. These are what you call carbonation. And then what you need to understand again is that it is normally because of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide in atmosphere is the one that is reacting to form carbon. That is in the atmosphere, which reacts with rainwater to form a weak carbonic acid, which I want you to understand that it dissolves rocks, especially those rich in calcium carbonate. As you can see, I'm saying the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere results in the formation of carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is formed, which actually will cause the carbonic acid, which we are saying that dissolves rocks, especially those rich in calcium carbonate, and then it causes some sinkholes. Most of the time, sinkholes will develop. As you can see, for example, there is an inner caving of the rock mass, which is taking place on this photograph C that we are looking at here. There is an inner caving of the rock mass taking place on photograph C, which I want you to understand that this can actually cause, sometimes we can look at a situation which is similar to the breakdown of cement in old buildings. When buildings are aging, it is quite a similar process that takes place where the cement is breaking down. And then I want you to understand that when we talk about hydrolysis, let me just finish the definitions of these processes in order for you to understand them properly. Hydrolysis is actually hydrolysis is actually also a chemical withering process. This is also a chemical withering process. Hydrolysis is also a chemical withering process. Is also a chemical withering process, which I want you to understand that minerals, which involves minerals broken down and altering their chemical composition to form new slight softer minerals like clays that we talked about. Usually results in clay soils. Information of clay soils. And then I was saying hydration. Hydration is the last one that I want to define also. Hydration, it's actually it's also a chemical withering process where minerals in rocks absorb water. In this case, minerals in rocks, they absorb water. Minerals in rocks absorb water and then into their structure, which causes them to swell and exert pressure that can weaken the fractures. So minerals in the rock absorb water, causing them to expand or causing them to swell and exert pressure that can weaken and fracture the rock, and then changes the rock by adding water molecules. It actually changes the rock by adding the water molecules, and then that leads to increased volume and also stress. Uh, this is mostly common in regions where we have got regular moisture content, most common in wet regions, in high rainfall places. So as long as say high hydration, it means there is a presence of water. Mineral rocks absorb water and then causing them to what? To swell and fracture. That's what we mean in terms of this one. But in any case, I want you to understand the answer is what? The answer is B, carbonation. Let's look in the next question saying, how do humans cause withering when constructing roads? How do humans cause withering when they are constructing roads? Uh, Humans cause withering when constructing roads. In the process of road construction, withering also is taking place. So how do that occur? One, we are saying by this is caused by clearing vegetation, clearing vegetation, it causes withering. We cannot say by using windbreaks. Windbreaks actually they actually reduces erosion. They actually reduces soil erosion, but it has nothing to do with withering. By allowing indigenous plants to grow, that cannot also, when we construct roads, we cut off trees. So covering land surfaces with vegetation in the process of road construction, vegetation is cleared off. The vegetation sometimes is also growing on rocks, and that process of removing them can result in what? In withering. So we are saying our answer is what? Is C. And then in which way do humans increase the rate of chemical withering? Chemical withering, how is it increased by human activities? Chemical withering. Check here. We are talking about chemical withering. How can it be increased by human activities? So what we are saying is that it has to do with processes that aids carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, processes that result in increase in acid rainfall. So we are talking about an increase in amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. In atmosphere is what we are referring to as a process or as an activity that can aid the process that can carbon dioxide in atmosphere is an activity that we are referring to. So that can be because of vehicle emissions, the carbon gases that are released from vehicles, combustions. It results in what? It results in chemical withering. So our answer is what? Our answer is D. And then we are given features of erosion and deposition. We can call these are called also fluvial processes. fluvial processes. We are talking about processes that are resultant or fluvial landforms. Fluvial landforms. Landforms that are formed as a resultant action of what? Of surface runoff water. So this is geomorphology as you go further with geography. And then what I want you to understand here is that we are saying depositional and erosional features along a river course. So what we are given here, we are given from here, what is given from here uh, to, to the end. We call that the longitudinal section of a river channel. This is the longitudinal section of a river channel. We are talking about the river, the river from the source. We can say from the source where it is starting to where it ends. Source where it starts to where it ends, which is the what? The river longitudinal section where it ends. It is the what? The mouth. So I want you to understand that geography is so an interesting subject. So we have got the upper course, the middle course, and the lower course. We have got a multiple of activities that takes place at each of the stages that we are looking at there. We have got the upper course, which is very violent, which has got a very steep gradient dominated by headward erosion, the undercutting of the river towards the source, and then we also have the middle course, which also is manifesting and dominated by increase in river discharge, turbulence flow, and also many other fluvial landforms, ending with the river lower course, which is also formed, or we have got, in this case, we have got depositional features. Depositional landforms are formed at the what? Depositional landforms are found at the end or towards the mouth here. And then on the top here, we have got erosional landforms. Erosional landforms are found on the upper course. I want you to understand that. I want you to understand this to say that in the upper course, we have got such dominating erosion, and then it is because of the gradient, it is because of also the volumes, or I mean the gradient, the terrain, and many other factors that we can attribute to that. So now the question is saying, in which river course are canyons formed? We are saying canyons, we are talking, they can also be given as gorges, deep. These are deep, steep-sided, steep-sided river channels. The canyons are also called gorges. We can also term them gorges, which are also caused because of vertical undercutting. Like I said, vertical undercutting results in the formation of these V-shaped valleys, V-shaped valleys are formed there, V-shaped rivers are formed there, V-shaped streams are formed in that case. So we find these landforms are dominating, they are dominating in the upper course of the river channel. They are dominant at the upper course of the river channel. That is one thing that I want you, that is the correct answer. They are dominating at the upper course or in the upper course of the river channel. You can see, just keep connected up to grade 12. You shall see that geography is quite an interesting subject. It is quite diverse and so interesting. identify the feature marked 6, the feature marked 6 on the on the land on the thing on the photograph there, the feature marked 6, the feature marked 6, 6 is showing, 6 is actually showing that represents a meandering river channel, is a swerving river channel which is not straight. This is a meander, which results in formation of oxbow lakes. Oxbow lakes are formed from meanders. We are going to look at them. We are going to discuss further into that. But for now, let's just answer our question. We are saying identify the land, the feature marked that one. It is a meander that represents a meander, which is B. Identify the feature marked 80. Feature marked 80. 80, it actually shows, if you look on feature marked 80, it actually represents a meander that is cut off. We call that a meander scar. This is called an oxbow lake. This is called an oxbow lake, or can also be called a meander scar. Meander scar is to say that it's a resultant landform formed because of river rejuvenation, whereby the energy of the river has been regained, and then we have got this swerving, or this meandering river or pathway is cut off. So that represents this landform 80. It represents an oxbow lake. It represents an oxbow lake, a resultant landform formed as a result of river undercutting at the necks of the meandering stream. Is called a meander, or I mean, it's called an oxbow lake. And then in which course of the river is oxbow lake found? Oxbow lakes are found, obviously, as we can see, we are seeing them that they are found. Oxbow lakes, where are they found? You can see this is found in the, they are found on the lower course of the river channel. They are found on the lower course of the river channel. Oxbow lakes are found on the lower course of the river channel. On the lower course of the river channel. That's where we find oxbow lakes. And then what kind of erosion takes place in the upper course of a river channel? I've been just explaining that now. I already touched it, that on the upper course of the river channel, we have got a domination or dominance of vertical erosion, which results in V-shaped streams. These are also, we call these are gorges that we are talking about. They are formed, the gorges are formed as a result of what? They are formed as a result of this deep undercutting. They are formed because of this deep undercutting. V-shaped streams, steep-sided river valleys, steep-sided river valleys, what we call, they are the ones that we call they are formed because of vertical erosion. Lateral erosion, it is taking place on the middle course there, where the river would also erode on the river banks. It lateral erosion of the river banks, erosion of river banks, it actually takes place to extend the river width. It actually works to extend the river width. And then gully is a form of erosion which is caused because of rapid run of water that is actually eroding downstreams, or which is eroding within a river basin, or within a drainage basin. So we are saying lateral and vertical. Vertical, it actually causes the stream to be very deep. It causes deep river valleys. Deep river valleys are caused because of splash is actually raindrop erosion. This can also be called raindrop erosion, which is caused because of the impact of raindrops as the land on the land surface. There is usually, if the land surface is not covered by any vegetation, we tend to have a domination of splash erosion. And then which feature is found in the upper course of a river, the upper course of rivers, we are saying on the upper course of a river, we tend to have rapids. That also we can also have also waterfalls. So rapids are found or are formed at the what? At the, I mean, they are formed as a result of, on the upper course of a river channel, which are actually because of resistant outcrop rocks that are found on the river bed. Levees are also some form of erosional features that we can also found within a river channel. What is the main reason for the formation of a waterfall? Waterfalls, waterfalls are formed because of an outcrop. Uh, Waterfalls are formed because of water that is eroding over a hardy, resistant rock mass that is overlying a softer rock mass which is underneath. So what you need to understand is that number 15, what is the main reason for the formation of a waterfall? It is actually B. It is actually B, which refers to water cascades over a layer of hard rock and erodes a layer of soft rock underneath. I'm sure that we have seen some structures such as those to say we have got something like this. So this can be a softer rock mass. This is a softer rock mass, and then it is having this, which is a resistant rock structure, resistant rock mass is the one which is causing an overhang that we are seeing there. So what happens is that when it rains, water flows and then it falls here, it comes and hit there, and then some of it falls here down, which will result in the formation, of a plunge pool, which is formed along down there because of the residuals that are falling from the softer rock mass that is being eaten here. So we tend to have such forms being there, and then we have got to say that is a what? A waterfall. That is a waterfall. And then number 16, describe how the feature marked 8 is formed. Feature marked 8, I think we once answered what is feature marked 8. Define how feature marked 8 is formed. Number 16, define how feature marked 8 is formed. Let's just go to the diagram and look at it. Feature marked 8 on the graph, feature marked 80, that's an Oxbow lake. So what we are saying is that an Oxbow lake is formed by, it is a feature that is formed by erosion. It is actually caused, it is formed because of erosion that actually is the neck of the meandering channel, and then it is cut off. Erosion eating at the at the necks of the, as we can see here, erosion will take place, and then it cuts back this part, it cuts this piece, and then we tend to have an outcrop of that feature being formed there. So what you need to understand is that number 16 it is formed as a result of erosion. It is formed as a result of erosion, narrows the meander neck to form a new channel. It is formed as erosion, narrows narrows the meander neck to form a new channel. As you can see, we are saying our river is like this. So now what happens is that in this is the meander that we are talking about before it is cut off. So in other terms, what we are saying is that erosion will take place on the necks of this. Erosion will take place here, so that we tend to have this path, river just connecting straight. The river channel will just connect straight from this side. It will connect straight. Instead of it meandering like that, it will just come here, and then we tend to have our river connecting straight and no longer going through that other pathway which was meandering there. We tend to have this pathway being cut off. It will be cut off there, and then if it is cut off like that, we tend to have this pathway just being straight, and then now we call this, now when it is cut off like that, that is what we call an Oxbow lake. Now it is now an Oxbow. It is now an Oxbow lake if the meander necks are cut, if the river cuts itself by the meander neck, and then the meandering piece is just left alone there, which we said is the meander scar. It results in the formation of an Oxbow lake. And then what is a river load? A river load is actually the total amount of river load, total amount of the river sediment transported by a river. We can say all the material that the river is carrying or transporting, we define that as river load, which can be in various forms. It can be solids, it can also be dissolved minerals. So we have got different forms of erosion that takes place, and at the same time, the erosive energy of the river results or determines the amount of the river load. The load is defined by the erosive energy, which is also determined by the velocity, which is also determined by the gradient of the river channel. So what we are saying is a multiple of factors defines how much the river can carry. So in the type of flow as well, the type of flow can also affect what the river can transport. So number 17, we are saying it is a total amount of sediment transported by a river channel. What the river transports, the total amount of sediment that is transported by a river channel is what we call the river load. And then when branches of the river are formed by deposition where the river meets the sea, we call that, this can be called a braided river channel. Braided river channel. Braided river channel, which can also, we also see it forming on the lower part of the river, on the lower channel of the river channel, lower part of the river channel. And then what we are saying is that deposition takes place and results in the stream forming multiple small streams that are dissected because of deposition that is taking place. So we call that a braided river channel, at which course of the river is deposition most likely to take place, at which course of the river is deposition most likely to take place. The river deposition is mostly occurs or is most active in the lower course of the river channel. Deposition is mostly active in the lower course of the river channel, which is caused because of it is mostly because of loss of what gradient. It is loss of the erosive energy, like we said, gradient is a lower gradient is the one that is causing that, and then also the effect of the sea level, whereby the water is entering into the sea. So the sea is also reducing the erosive power of the river, and hence deposition will take place. So our answer is what is A. And then what happens when a tributary joins the mainstream? What happens when a tributary joins the mainstream? When the tributary joins the mainstream, what happens? When the river decreases its speed, not we cannot have decrease in the speed because there is increase in what in volume. So river increases its velocity. There is increase in velocity of the river channel. The river increases its velocity. Velocity is speed. Speed increases as volume increases. Tributary joints results in increase in volume. So when volume increases, speed increases, which can also be correct to say that the correct answer is B. And then where is the mouth of the river found? As you have seen from the illustration that I've shown you, the river mouth is found. It is found where a river enters in the sea or the ocean. When the river enters the sea or the ocean, we call that is where the mouth is found. The mouth of a river channel is found when the river enters the sea or the ocean. I was showing you from the graph, from the photographs there, that we are saying this is the mouth. I already marked to you that the river mouth, at the end, which we found the mouth is found as we are entering into into the sea, or as we enter into the ocean. The river mouth is when the river is found where the river is entering in the sea or the ocean. And then what do we call anything that can be used to satisfy human needs and has value? Anything that can satisfy human needs, which has got value, we call that a resource. Resource, resource is something that can be used to satisfy human needs, which has got value. Potential, we are just talking about the ability, possible energy or stored up energy. Skill, we are just talking about an ability to do something. Patents are also something else which we can not say that it can be used to satisfy human needs. And then define a natural resource. Natural resource number 22 is a resource which comes from the environment. A resource which comes from the environment, it's a natural resource. A resource which comes from the environment, it's a natural resource. It cannot be built by people skills. It cannot be resource that cannot last. So we are saying it is a resource that comes from the environment. Which one is an example of which one is an example of natural resource? Number 23. Which one is an example of natural resource? Is an example of natural resource: water, petroleum, railways, and cell phones. Cell phones are not, we cannot talk about railways as a natural resource. And then we are saying forest, furniture, petroleum, and cell phones. Not, we cannot have cell phones, we cannot have furniture. We are saying is a natural resource. It should be petroleum, forest, water, and soil. These are natural resources. So our answer is what? Is C. C is the correct answer, which identifies natural resources. What are renewable resources? Renewable resources are resources that can never be used up. They are able to rejuvenate or to resurface. So renewable resources are resources we cannot say skills and people have resources that cannot be replaced. No, we are saying resources that can never be used up. Resources that can never be used up are natural resources. Which one of the following is an example of non-renewable resource? Is an example of non-renewable resource. Non-renewable resource. It can be something that can finish. So water cannot, we cannot, water, we have got our water cycle, our forest, our sun, and then our natural resource. I mean, a non-renewable resource, it is coal. Coal is a non-renewable resource. It can get finished. Which of the following selections are examples of renewable resources? Which of the following selections are examples of renewable resources? Renewable resources, we can say examples of renewable, we can, water, oil, fish. Oil is not a renewable. We are saying trees, water, oil is not renewable. Oil is not renewable. So it is fish, trees, water. They are uh, they are renewable resources. Our answer is renewable resources is C. What do we call the processing of waste so that it can be used again? It's recycling. Recycling is the processing of waste. We talk about water, we talk about plastic and all other various metals. We can say they can be recycled. Extinction is finished. When you say something is extincted, it has ended, no longer existing, no longer existing. We say that it is extincted. Rehabilitation, meaning to say trying to rebuild again. Depilation is also finished. You understand? And then the answer is what? The answer is D. And then which statement best explains resource depletion? Which statement best explains resource depletion? When we say resources have depleted, we are saying it has to be when a resource is at risk of being completely used. We are not when it's at risk, it's not depletion. Depletion, we're saying when a resource has been drastically reduced, when a resource has been totally used up. Number 28, which statement best explains resource depletion? Uh, when resource has been restored, is not restored. Restored, we can say rehabilitated. When resource has been totally used up, when a resource has been drastically reduced, we can say that drastically reduced, it can lead to depletion when a resource has been drastically reduced, when a resource has been totally used up, is extinction. So we are saying it is supposed to be B. And then what is meant by sustainable use of resources? When resources are sustainably used, we are saying they are used with an understanding of generations to come. When we say resources are sustainably used, they should be used to meet generations, to meet the needs of today and also future. When resources are used such that they meet the needs of present and future, actually that can actually explain sustainability, meet the needs of the present and future. That is sustainability. And then which method has recently been promoted by government of South Africa for efficient use of electricity? Method that has been promoted by government by SA for efficient use of electricity efficient use of electricity, importing more crude oil and gas is not that. For efficient use of electricity, we are saying load shedding. When we say load shedding, we are not efficiently using it. When we talk about load shedding, it's when the power is switching off because of some overload or some. So I was saying the answer should be efficient use of resources. It is use of renewable sources of energy, promoting the use of renewable sources of energy. We talk about the solar harvesting, or we talk about solar systems, which are environmentally greener sources of energy. So we are saying our answer is D. Which are the most efficient ways of using water sustainably? Water using sustainably, when water is sustainably used, we are saying it must be able to meet the needs of today and also of future. So the efficient use of water, which one can it be? That can be one, fix leaks, take shower and close taps, uh, fix leaks, take shower and close water, fix leaks, open water hydrants and irrigate daily, close taps, irrigate daily and open water hydrants, take water, shower, ignore leaks when we ignore leaks and so forth. So our best answer is what? Fix leaks, take shower and close taps. We are given source 3, sustainable use of energy, of resources. Sustainable use of resources. We are seeing in the photograph there, we are seeing people in the forest, and the question is saying, identify unsustainable use of resources shown in the in the diagram. The unsustainable use of unsustainable use of resources. You are seeing that massive trees are cut down. There is cutting down of trees here. Cutting down of trees. Trees are cut down here. So what are we saying? So unsustainable use of resources shown here, it is actually deforestation. Trees are cut, we are saying trees are cut down. Deforestation, which represents the cutting down of trees there. What role can consumers play when choosing more sustainable resource use? What roles do consumers play when choosing? We are talking about this can also be called customers. We are talking about our customers. What role can they play when choosing more sustainable resource use? When they are choosing more sustainable resource use, one, choosing product that can be used once, uh, choosing product that increase the amount of waste produced. We cannot cause increase in waste. Actually, it causes environmental degradation. Use appliances with renewable energy source. Use appliances with renewable energy source. It can actually be able to say that we are using sustainable. We are considering sustainable energy use. Traveling only by private cars can also cause massive pollution. It causes massive air pollution. It causes massive air pollution, which can also affect our environment. What do we call the strategy to sustainable fishing, where a maximum quantity of fish is allowed to be taken? Taking a specific amount of fish, we call that, we are saying quotas, strategies, or it's a practice of limiting the quantities. It can be even we can talk about it on border entries, on regulating the amount of goods that are entering. So a maximum quantity of fish is allowed to be taken. It's actually in order to conserve or to avoid finishing or fish to be finished. So we call that what? We call that quotas. Quota is the best answer there. What is a habitat? A habitat, when you talk about a habitat is basically, when we look at a habitat, it's a place where a plant or animal lives. A place, a place where plants or animals live, we call that a habitat. It can, a community of living organisms is called population. This is population when we talk about community of living organisms, a place where specific plants or animal live, we call that a habitat. Is called a habitat. A variety of life in a specific area, we call that biodiversity. That is called parts of earth where life exists. We can just, parts of earth where life exists is just a population anyway, otherwise to say. But the answer is B. Name the process of breeding, rearing, and harvesting of fish. Number 36, the process of breeding, rearing, and harvesting of fish. That is called aquaculture. Farming in terms of, we say aquaculture. Aquaculture is what is called, and then aquifer is just a temporary water table. This is a temporary water table. We call that an aquifer. An aqueous, we are saying what is meant by carbon footprint. It is the amount of carbon gas, carbon dioxide that is produced by an individual or by a company over a period of time. That is what you call the carbon footprint. It actually measures the amount of carbon that is produced, the amount of carbon we create by using fuels that release carbon dioxide. So amount of carbon we create by using fuels that release carbon dioxide, which means to say that we can say that carbon footprint, this can be an individual, it can be an individual, it can be by a company, or we can say by a firm. The amount of carbon that a firm or an individual produce usually is measured over a period of a year. And then which are major greenhouse gases? Major greenhouse gases. Number 38, which ones are major greenhouse gases? Major greenhouse gases. It must have, we must talk about gases that are found in the atmosphere that traps the heat, which can sometimes we say that it can result in global temperature increase. So we must have methane, we must have carbon dioxide, and what I want you to understand is that we can also talk about carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, and water vapor, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrogen, and water vapor. So our answer is what is D, carbon dioxide, methane. This is gas that is coming from decomposing organic matter. This can also be known that we must know that it is found, it is that gas that we get from the dump site. we can say that the gas that is found at dump site, we call that methane or methane. So our answer is what? Is D. What do we call the substance that can be broken down into natural substances without harming the environment? A substance that can be broken down into natural substances without harming the environment. It is called biodegradable. Biodegradable is it means that it can decompose, it can be broken down into natural substances without harming the environment. So our answer is what? Is A. Photosynthesis is a process by which green plants make is making of food by green plants is what we call photosynthesis. Non-biodegradable is the opposite of what biodegradable. Synthetic fertilizer. What is the main aim of marine protected areas to sustainable fishing? The main aim to marine protected area to sustainable fishing, number 40, is actually to provide a safe place for fish stock to breed and grow. What happens is that fish must also be given time to regain or to recover in their population. To provide a safe place for stock of fish to breed and grow is what we call protected marine. We are talking about water protected area for sustainable fishing. These areas, people are not allowed to fish there. So it is giving fish a time or a season for them to reproduce and grow. So the answer is what? Is C. How can businesses reduce their carbon footprint? Carbon footprint, number 41, it can be by frequently buying new office furniture. It has nothing to do with carbon footprint. Increasing the amount of electricity they are using, it has nothing to do with footprint. Number 41, we are saying by developing actions on sustainability and not implementing them, it means nothing as well. By printing less and recycling paper, it can actually do printing less. We are saying going green. Going going green can be a good way. Digital paperless space where people can send and share information in space other than printing. Printing, it results in extensive cutting down of trees when paper is to be made, and therefore we are talking about deforestation. So if you are talking about ways to reduce carbon footprint, we can't talk about, I mean, actually we have to print less and recycle paper there. So our answer is what? Is D. And then how best can eco-friendly products be explained? Eco-friendly, these are products that actually we can say that they do little or no harm to the environment. They are environmentally friendly. When we say eco-friendly, they do little or no harm to the environment, which means to say that our answer is what? They do little or no harm to the environment. Eco-friendly. They are eco-friendly products. Which way can individuals reduce their carbon footprint? Individuals. We are saying individuals. How can individuals reduce their carbon footprint? I remember I said that carbon footprint can be caused or can be assessed at an individual level or at a corporate level, which is an organizational level. So at an individual level, how can carbon footprint be reduced? How can carbon footprint be reduced? It can be by using energy efficient cars, by burning fossil fuels, by using private transport, by using electric geysers. It is efficient, using efficient cars. They can actually they can actually reduce carbon footprint by reducing carbon emission. So this results in complete combustion that reduces the amount of carbon gas that can be produced. Uh, Next question is saying, uh, what is food security? Food security, in simple terms, we are saying having access to food all the time that is wealthy, that is healthy, that is according to the health requirements of the individual, and also meeting the nutritional requirements of that person as well. So it has to do with a health condition where the body lacks nutrients it needs. It's not the correct answer. Planting the same crop it's called monoculture. This is called monoculture, which is something else to do with agriculture. Farming that involves taking produce to the market. It can also be called commercial farming. Commercial farming, it has nothing to do with what we are discussing. All citizens of the country have access to nutritious food all the time, is what we call food security. People have got access to food all the time as citizens of the country. Uh, identify 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 elements of food security. Identify three elements of food security. Elements of food security. Number 45, elements of food security. Identify elements of food security. It has to do with drought, floods, and famine. They don't cause food security. Land farming and government. We can't talk about food security. I'm saying elements of food security. It has to do with the availability of food, access to food, and the use of food. So it is C. And then, what type of farming raises a large number of animals in small space for meat production? A farming practice that raises a large number of animals in small spaces for meat production. We call that number 46. We call that factory farming. Large number of animals in small space for meat production. We can call that factory farming. Monoculture, I said, is crop of the same crop over one crop over and over again. And then crop farming is something is stock farming. So we are saying it is called farming factory. What is the argument against factory farming? Argument against factory farming, it is actually actual animals can easily catch diseases. There is possibility of producing large amount of food too. It cannot be a problem. Uh, Strict laws regulate farming conditions. More people can afford meat than before. It's not a problem. So animals can catch diseases. The over congestion of animals in a small space can result in the animals contracting diseases, and therefore it's kind of a problem. It's a problem that animals can catch diseases. Uh, that can be a problem of factory farming. What does GM stands for? Genetically modified. We can say this is genetically. G stands for genetically or genetic. And then M stands for modified. Genetic modification or genetic modification or modified genetic modification, which is genetic modification. It's an organism whose genes has been altered artificially by adding or subtracting a certain gene factor that results in GMOs. GMOs are a resultant products of genetic modification. Genetically modified organisms genetically modified organisms is GMO. They are the end products of genetic modification, which is caused or which can be done by various artificial methods. It can be through, we are saying, biotechnology or genetic engineering. And then, what is the disadvantage of genetic modification, genetically modified crops? What is the disadvantage of genetically modified crops? Genetically modified crops may be harmful to humans. That can be fine, that they can be harmful to humans. Less pesticides spread into the environment. Uh, we say less famine and starvation. It's not a disadvantage. High food yields, and these are advantages. So the disadvantage is that they may be harmful. They can be harmful to humans, which is A. And then how can using appropriate farming techniques be of benefit? How can using appropriate farming techniques be of benefit? Using appropriate farming techniques be of benefit. So we are saying advantages of technological farming. What are the advantages of technological farming? It actually, one, high-tech farming replacing workers is not a benefit. Increases food production. It can increase the size of carbon. Is not a benefit. Natural plants are affected by large-scale farmers. So our answer is what is B, which means that it can actually increase food production. Technology or using of farming techniques, appropriate farming techniques in farming. Which farming technique could help prevent soil erosion? Soil erosion can be prevented. We are saying loss of soils from arable lands. It can be because of monoculture. Applying herbicides and terracing can help to prevent soil erosion. Monoculture, stripping crops, monoculture, and planting trees. The moment we talk about monoculture, it tends to reduce to cause erosion. Drainage ditches, strip farming, and terracing. And then we can say applying herbicides, drainage ditches, and monoculture. So our answer is drainage ditches. They are able to catch or to reduce runoff. Strip farming, which also putting crops in lines, and then terraces, that is actually covering steep landscapes to avoid runoff. So that is the right answer to say that C can be the right answer. Which of the following best explain the requirements of sustainable farming? Can best explains the requirements of sustainable farming? Which of the following can best explains uh, the requirements of sustainable farming? We are saying sustainable monoculture, sustainable. The moment we say monoculture, it becomes not sustainable. The moment we talk about monoculture, it becomes unsustainable. And then crop rotation, furrow irrigation, and use of pesticides, use of pest-resistant crops. We are saying crop rotation, care for use of water, and use of pesticides, crop rotation, care for use of water, and use of pest-resistant crops. So we can say that D can best describe the best answer there. The best answer can be found on what crop rotation is actually sustainable. Crop rotation, we try to ensure that over a piece of land, we don't grow the same type of crop over and over again. The crops are alternatively grown over a piece of land, and then careful use of water is sustainable. Pest-resistant crops is also sustainable. We have got section B, agriculture as a contributor to soil erosion. We are seeing overgrazing causes soil erosion. We are seeing goats here. The land is actually so bare. This is just an overgrazed piece of land. And then we see also some strip farming that is taking contour plowing reduces erosion, which is shown there. And then what are we seeing? What is the question saying? South African farmers produce many kinds of crops and rare animals such as fish, cattle, sheep, goats. Unfortunately, bird farming practices have led to high rates of soil erosion in certain places. How rearing animals can lead to soil erosion. One of the biggest contributors of soil erosion is overgrazing. This means keeping more animals on the land than there is grass to feed them. The grass is eaten more quickly than it can regrow, and so the vegetation cover on the land is lost. Erosion is increased. The soil erosion is compacted. The soil is compacted, especially along tracks that animals make walking along the same path repeatedly. Over time, gullies called dongas are eroded in tracks and large amount of soil is lost. How can soil erosion, how cultivation can lead to soil erosion? Monocropping, which refers to growing the same crop year after year. This reduces soil fertility, causing soil to be more easily eroded. Using pesticides and chemical fertilizers kill soil organisms that are important for soil structure. Planting crops in rows and up and down hills. This enables water to flow downhill fast, so erode channels between the furrows, the rows. It is better to use contour planting, in which crops are planted in rows along the contour lines, as this reduces the speed of running flow down the speed of water flowing downhill, that we call surface runoff. So the first question is saying, how do humans contribute to soil erosion through construction? How do humans contribute to soil erosion through construction? We have got ways in which people contribute to erosion through construction. These we can talk about factors that have to do with cutting down of trees. Through construction, we can talk about cutting down of trees, clearing land, and then stormwater drains that are found there. Deforestation, it actually causes deforestation. We are saying cutting down trees extensively. It is actually a cause of erosion. And then we can also talk about the construction of storm water drains. Construction this also can cause erosion. We can also talk about contribute. We can talk about the compaction and breaking down of soil particles, breaking down of soil particles into small soil particles, exposing it to agents of erosion. Breaking down of soil particles into smaller particles, that is exposing it to agents of soil erosion. That can be one of the ways that can also cause that. Mention one way people contribute to soil erosion through mining. We can talk about through mining. We can talk about one, stripping of land. Stripping of land. When mining is done, land must be cleaned. Trees must be cut off. We talk about excavation of rocks. excavation of rocks, and then we can also talk about the uh, spillages and mine dumps, dumping of waste, dumping of waste destroys vegetation. When waste is dumped on the land, it actually destroys vegetation, which also exposes the soil to agents of erosion. Identify one poor farming method that leads to soil erosion. In this case study, we have talked about the methods that are there, the methods, how can rearing animals, uh, monocropping, using of pesticides, planting in rows up and down hill. These are methods that can actually cause, or which we can say that they can increase erosion. So these can be those methods that we are mentioning here. Monocropping, we have got use of pesticides, and fertilizers. And then we can also talk about downhill farming. Downhill farming, which we can say stream bank cultivation as well. That can also be called stream bank cultivation. That can also cause it can also cause washing away of soils. And then define soil erosion. This is washing away of top fertile soils, from agricultural land. By various agents of erosion. Various agents of erosion, e.g., rainwater. You can say such as rainwater, you can talk about snow, wind. These can carry or